You guys ever look at your clients when they walk into the shop and think, man, my client ugly as fuck. Hi, my name is Pico.Blurred. I'm a barber. And as barbers, our job is to take your client that looks ugly and make him less ugly with a good haircut. No, I'm just playing, but in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to take your client and get him the cleanup that he needs. You know, they're coming to you because they want to get their confidence back. They need a good haircut and your expertise to make sure they have the best haircut possible for them. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do a taper on salt and pepper hair. Let's go ahead and get into that tutorial. All right, y'all, first things first, I'm going to get everything combed out to the direction that the hair wants to lay. He was wearing a hat, so I had to make sure that I comb everything out before I even touch the head with shears or clippers. If the hair is all over the place, you're just setting yourself up to make it harder. And we want to make this cut as simple as possible. So grab that brush, grab that comb, and comb out the hair. Now I'm going to take my number 4 guard, and I'm just going to clear out some of this bulk on the side under the parietal ridge. I'm trying to keep it dark around the parietal ridge, so I'm staying under that. He definitely said he wanted some of the bulk cut above his ear, so we're taking that forward, we're running it up, but we're flicking off the shape of his head, making sure that we keep it dark so we have a good dark shade to contrast our taper. And so now we're kind of done with our rough draft, setting in our shape. Now it's time to actually do our fade step. So I'm taking my trimmer and I'm setting in my bald guideline. And you guys see it's kind of in like an arc shape. I don't like usually setting in my guidelines in a flat shape. I just think that's a little bit too boring. I like to give my tapers a little bit of flair. So you guys will see me kind of curving it. It's gonna allow our edge up to appear darker because we're not bringing it straight across. So again, I'm doing that on the back and the side of the taper. And once I'm happy with that guideline, I'm gonna shave everything off, flipping my trimmer over and going up to that guideline, just clearing out all the bulk underneath, making it razor bald under that initial bald guideline. After that initial step, it's time to take our clippers, and we're setting in our first guideline with the lever all the way open, and I'm going up about an inch, spreading this guideline so we get a nice gradient blend. And whatever I do to that first guideline, I'm going to do that to the beard as well. And when you're doing the beard, it's kind of like a reverse taper. So instead of going up, you're going down into the beard. And so once I set in that guideline, to take it out, I'm using a clipper play, going down little by little, closing the notches of my clipper. The new clippers now, they usually have notches on the side, clicks as they call them. So as I go down, I'm starting at the top of my guideline, lever open, and as I go down, I'm closing the lever each notch until I'm at the bottom of that guideline, and you'll see that line just disappear at the bottom. And you guys, I'm using my Gamma X Ergos to do this haircut, but I switched out the Gamma blade. I actually put on the new Battleless Blue blade with the grooves. I just wanted to, you know, send myself a little bit of curveball, change up the clippers a bit, make cutting hair fun with this new clipper. So I switched out the blade, we're seeing how it's going, and you guys are seeing that line start to disappear, see that guideline start to get faded out using our lever. And And you guys, I'm trying to make these steps as simple as possible for you guys to follow so you don't get lost in the fade. And so my process, you guys will see that I put in the guideline and I immediately go to take that out before moving on to my next step. And the way I like to fade it out is I go from top to bottom in that guideline. I just think it makes it easier for me. I'm not pushing the fade up. It keeps me more in control of my blend. So again, I put it in open and I close it each notch until I'm at the bottom. I think that is the best way for me to keep the fade gradient and not push the fade too high. So go ahead and give that a try if you're having trouble with your fade. All right, guys, again, I don't move on until I'm happy with my guideline. So now I was happy with my initial guideline. Now it's time to set in your second guideline. And to do that, I'm using my number 1 guard, lever open again, and I'm going up that same width and the same shape as my 2 first guidelines. And I'm making sure to go over it multiple times to get the hair to that 1 guard length. Again, same thing on the back, and on the back we can go up a little bit higher because we have a lot more room to work with. So you might see me bringing these guidelines just a little bit higher to give it a more gradient, more room to blend in the back since we have so much more room to work with. Going over multiple times, I do a couple passes over this to make sure that all the hair is that 1 open length. You definitely don't want to set in this guideline and it's not all the same length. And once that guideline is set in, it's time to take it out. Now, the way I take out my number 1 guideline is I drop down to my half guard and I start with the lever open towards the top. And as I go down, again, I'm closing each notch until I'm at the bottom of this guideline. And then once it's all the way closed, you're just flicking out that line using the corners and you'll see the blend come together. You'll see the 2 guidelines meet and there should be no line once you're at the bottom. So go ahead and watch this, follow along. You guys see me using a bunch of the corners because I don't want to use my full blade when blending. That's just going to create more lines and you don't want to put more lines and keep bringing the fade higher. So just watch. As I go down, I'm closing it little by little, and then that darkness at the bottom, the line will disappear. All right, y'all, the blend is starting to come together in those guidelines. Now it's time to go into that bulk. So I'm using my number 2 guard and I'm flicking into our number 4. Not really trying to set a harsh guideline because I want to start blending into the top already with this step. And guys, I'm using a lot of the corner. Like I said, I don't want to use the full blade or else I'm going to create too harsh of a guideline and have to chase that line. I'm using corners, trying to break up the bulk up top and flick into that bulk so it can have a seamless blend. And guys, cutting hair is all about balancing the hair length and the shade. So as I'm clearing out into this bulk, I was a little bit unhappy with the shape and the darkness, so I go back to my number 4 right here, and I'm just trying to flick a little bit more into that, take off some bulk so it's not sitting as heavy. And even later on, I didn't notice until after the haircut was done, but I should have gone back later. He has these bumps around above his ear, and it kind of throws off the shade and the shape. So I should have went in with some clipper over comb and just refined the shape around those areas. But that's just something that I can put in my tool bag for next time. Right there is what I'm talking about. He has these 2 bumps, so it changes the shade of the hair right there, and the length sometimes, because he has a couple divots right there. So like I said, I should have went in there with some clipper over comb just to refine the shape, refine the shade of the hair. But I'm really trying to get this blending really nicely. So I'm using all kinds of guards. I'm using my number 4, what I started out with, to clear out the bulk, and I'm going down, I'm blending down, trying to keep everything dark without trying to bring the fade up too high. So I use my number 4, then I drop down to my number 2, and then you'll see me drop down to my 1.5 guard and really try to seamlessly connect my number 1 guard into my number 2, into the bulk up top. So it's really about fine-tuning your blend, detailing, making sure that you don't have any dark spots and you don't have any lines. It's all about having a uniform cut, one that looks like it's blending from light to dark and dark to light. You don't want to see definitely any dark spots, any lines. Lines are the worst thing that you can leave in the fade. So make sure that you're going back through your steps and taking out any lines that you see. But again, I try to keep this as simple as possible. I always start out with debulking first, then I set in my bald line. I set in my first guideline with the clipper no guard lever open. Once that's blended out, I set in my number 1 guideline and then take that out with my half guard. And then usually I either blend down from the 4 into my number 1 guard, or I go up another inch with my 2 guard closed and I blend that out with my 1.5 guard. Again, trying to keep this as simple as possible for you guys, especially for you guys that are not used to cutting yet and trying to look for a system. That's probably the simplest system that you can use, is starting trimmer, then your first guideline lever open, then your second guideline 1 guard lever open, then going up another inch with your 2 guard, and then blending into that 4. And so this is a little bit of a more advanced technique. I'm taking a thinning shear over comb because I don't want to take off length around under his parietal ridge. Like I said, I want to keep it dark, so I'm just thinning it out, trying to blend the hair into each other, not taking off length, not changing the shape, but really just softening it so I can get a seamless blend and I don't have any bulk areas that are laying too heavy above my taper. And sorry guys, I went in a rant going over my fade process, but you have to be able to find a process that works for you in order to get these cuts the way that you want it to look. You have to find something that works for you. My process, I use it on every haircut that I do, so it saves me not only time, but I know each step that I'm gonna do for my fade, so my fades can come out consistent every single time. So you have to find something that works for you. This is the best way that I explain my process, and hopefully you can try it out for yourself and see if that works for you. Like I said, each process doesn't work for everybody. Some people can blend straight down without using guidelines. I find that guidelines are easier for me to keep my fades consistent and help me know what I'm doing. But you guys can see that blend coming together. Now it's time to finish off this haircut. So I'm edging up my client using my trimmers I set in a guideline at the top and at the bottom, and then I meet those two in the middle, using the corner of my blade, etching out that round C-cup shape. I'm not digging into my client's hair because I don't want to push them in too far, or else the grow back is going to look hideous. You want to keep it as natural as possible, but as dark as possible. So I'm etching right on the edge where the hair is hanging over his edge up, his natural lineup, and I'm making sure that it's as sharp as possible. Sometimes you'll see like a hairstylist set in this lineup, and it's not anywhere near as sharp as I think it should be. If you have a very good fade and a very crisp lineup, it's gonna take your fade and take your haircut to the next level. It's gonna set you apart from everybody else because they're not getting these edge ups as sharp as you. You guys can see that taper in the back is looking super blurry. That lineup is looking really sharp around his ear. Again, right above his ear, I should have went back and taken some clipper over comb because it's sitting a little bit heavy over his divots and his protruding mastered process that's right there. The taper doesn't look bad. The haircut doesn't look bad by any means, but it would have just up this haircut to the next level. Right here, I didn't want to take any length off the top. He liked the length that was going on. So we're just going to take off some heaviness towards the back and add some texture in his hair. So when he decides to mess it up a bit and rock a texture look, it's going to do it easily for him. He doesn't like having a whole bunch of bulk around his crown area or the apex of his head. So I'm just lightening it up, thinning it out so it lays a bit nicer and it's not as heavy for him. But guys, I hope you guys could understand this process and can help you a bit with your haircuts. I explain it a lot better in some other tutorials, so go and check those out if you want to. But again, remember, this is how my guy came in, looking a little bit dusty. He definitely needed a haircut, and this is how he's leaving the shop. That taper in the back is looking super gradient, super blurry. The taper is looking nice, the edge up is looking nice. And guys, this is what happens when you do right by your client. I've had somebody trying to steal him from me, and he tells them repeatedly, oh, I already have a barber, my barber always gets me right. So this is just a testament of doing good work on your clients. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Check out this video. YouTube thinks you're gonna like it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Oh my god, is that Pico.Blurred?